Hi guys, and welcome. I'm just going to be going over the Babes in the Woods murders that happened back in 1986 down in Brighton, my neck of the woods in the UK, where I originally come from. And we're going to be talking about these two young girls that got sadly murdered, and yeah, it's one of the longest cases that we've got. So here are the two girls that were murdered. Okay, so the Babes in the Woods murders were the murders of two 9-year-old girls, Nicola Fellows and Karen Halloway, on the 9th of October 1986 by a 20-year-old local roofer. Let me just get the picture of him. Okay, so here he is. By a local roofer, Russell Bishop, in the Wild Park, Moulscombe, Brighton, England. Bishop was tried and acquitted in 1987. The case remained open until December 2018, when Bishop was found guilty for the murders in a second trial. The investigation into the two girls' murders is the largest and the longest running inquiry ever conducted by the Sussex Police. So we've got the girls there. There's another beautiful picture of the girls. These two girls, they went to different schools, but they were best of friends outside of school and quite often played together after school. This is where the girls were found, in this makeshift den area here. Now, when the girls were buried, the two of them were buried together, side by side, which I think is a really beautiful thing to do. You know, they died together, so they laid them to rest together. Here are the girls' mums. Okay, this was after this photo was taken at the second trial. Here is the jumper, that the evidence jumper, which you will find out about as we go on. And this is Bishop when they arrested him for the second time. He was actually in prison already. So yeah, so there's just some pictures of what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to read through some notes about it. We do have Kitty beside us today. The dog's a bit of a rest, but hey, here you go. So the case is Nicola and Karen were best friends who lived close to one another on the Moulscombe estate in the north of Brighton, but attended different schools. At around 3:30 on the 9th of October 1986, the two returned home from school before going out to play. At around 5 p.m, Susan Fellows saw her daughter and Karen playing with the roller boat. That was the last time that she saw her daughter alive. When seen by a 14-year-old acquaintance near a parade of shops in the Lewis Road area, the girls were told to go home. As their parents would become worried, Nicola told Karen, "Come on, let's go over to the park," referring to the Wild Park, where they were not allowed, really. At around 6:30, the girls were seen near a police box on the Lewis Road, where Bishop was also seen near and wearing what appeared to be a light blue top, it's a jumper. That same day, Bishop had gone to Nicola's house to speak to the lodger who lived there. Nicola told Bishop to go away and called his teenage girlfriend an SLAG. When the girls failed to return home by their bedtime, the parents panicked. Nicola's mother, Michelle, dialed 999 call. A search party of around 200 police and neighbours were organised. A helicopter was brought in to help search Wild Park. Bishop joined the search, claiming his terrier, Misty, was a highly trained tracker dog and insured for £17,000. The body of the girls were found in Wild Park by searchers Kevin Rowland and his friend Matthew Marchant on the afternoon of the 10th of October 1986. The girls' bodies were found hidden in a makeshift den in the park. An autopsy revealed that they had both been strangled and sexually abused, or SA, as we will call it from now on. Bishop felt under suspicion due to his close involvement in the search. When the bodies of the girls were found, Bishop was close by and ran towards the scene with a police officer. However, the constable recalls that Bishop did not get close enough to even see them properly. Bishop's story was littered with inconsistencies. He told detectives on the evening in question he had gone to Millscombe because he intended to steal a car from a nearby University of Sussex campus. He also claimed that he had gone to a newsagent's to buy a newspaper, but realised he had no money. Bishop told detectives he planned to see his teenage girlfriend that evening, but failed to turn up because he brought some cannabis and went home instead. He also tailored his story to fit the evidence, claiming that he had felt the girl's neck for a pulse after finding them dead, to explain any potential exchange of trace evidence. Due to the series of inconsistencies, Bishop was arrested on suspicion of murder on October the 31st. About Bishop. Bishop, he was born the 9th of February 1966, was a petty thief and jobbing roofer. He was also known around Morecambe Estate in Brighton. In 1986, he lived in Hollingden area of the city, around 1.5 miles from his two young victims. Despite living with his pregnant partner, young son, he had a reputation as a ladies' man with a string of girlfriends, some of whom were still in school. I mean, he's 20 years old now. At the time of the murders, he was having an affair with a 16-year-old Marion Stevenson, who lived around the corner from Karen and Nicola. He played football, cricket with Barry Fellows, Nicola's father. Bishop's friend, Dougie Jude, lodged at the Fellows family at the time of the murders. Jude knew both pairs of parents and warned Nicola and Karen to stay away from Bishop because he has clear sexual interest in young girls. His teammates recalled he had a habit of wolf whistling at schoolgirls when they walked past and stare intently at the girls in skirts doing handstands. There were suggestions that Bishop encouraged local teens to appear in homemade pornographic films that were passed around the men on the estate. Former friend Jeff Caswell, who used to go fishing with Bishop, described him as a habitual liar. Caswell said he was a type of lad around town that time. He'd grown a moustache and he had his car. He'd race everywhere and he was always telling lies, trying to big himself up. He was only around 5'5" tall and weighed around 8 stone. I think he suffered from little man syndrome. He was also telling porkies about this and that, which that means he's been lying about this and that. He was also a thief. He'd break into cars and he'd steal stuff. He had been a roofer, but was going nowhere really. He also said Bishop was wrongly arrested on suspicion of an involvement in the Brighton bombing. Well, that's interesting if you don't know about the Brighton bombing. We may go into that another time. Other suspects. Nicola's father, Barry Fellows, was arrested in 2009 at his home in Cheshire on suspicion of conspiracy to rape his daughter. Douglas Jude was also arrested on suspicion of rape. A spokesman from Sussex Police said that the investigation into sexual abuse allegation was unrelated to the ongoing murder inquiry, and both men were eventually released without charge. For the trial in 1987, Bishop was initially tried for the rape and murder of the two girls in 1987 at Lewes Crown Court. He was acquitted by jury after 2 hours of deliberations, attributing to a series of blunders in the prosecution's case. The pathologists and forensic investigation team failed to record the temperatures of the body and therefore could not accurately state the time of death at the trial, and the prosecution suggested that they were killed between 6:15 and 6:30. Without scientific evidence to back up the time of the murders, the prosecution could not challenge Bishop's alibis on the night of the murder. Though the girls were strangled to death, neither measurements of hand marks around their necks or fingerprints left by a stranger were taken. Forensic scientists did not analyze blood discoveries on Karen's underwear. A key piece of prosecution case rested on the recovery of a blue pinto striped sweatshirt, which is the sweatshirt that I showed you. The top was found close by a railway line at Moulscombe Station. Police believe Bishop discarded the top after attacking and killing the girls, and were convinced the clothing had a cache of forensic clues. The police did not properly preserve the evidence, allowing Bishop's defence team to cast doubt on the reliability of the material. Under questioning, Bishop denied that the sweatshirt belonged to him, but his girlfriend, Jenny Johnson, allegedly the clothing was Bishop's. Prosecutions hoped this would undermine Bishop's credibility or portray him as a liar who was trying to distance himself from the critical piece of evidence. However, at the trial, Johnson changed her story, telling the jury that she had never seen that top before. The judge, Justice, can't say his name, directed the jury that unless they were sure first that the girls were dead by 6:30, they should acquit. The prosecution believed that the girls were killed between 5:15 and 6:30. However, witnesses stated that they saw the girls alive at 6:30 and Bishop leaving the park at 6:30. Bishop was convicted in December 1990 for a similar attack on another Brighton girl. He was found guilty of kidnapping, molestation, and attempted murder. The 7-year-old girl in Whitehawk 10 months earlier, and was sentenced for at least 14 years before eligible for release. So he got arrested and he got put in prison for the same sort of thing on another girl. The jumper really got him off, and that Jennifer Johnson saying that it wasn't his after saying it was his, she got him off. But we're going to that. Okay. The 2005 trial. This is the 2018 trial. The 2005 appeal of the double jeopardy provisions of the Criminal Justice Act of 2003 meant Bishop could face a fresh trial with substantial new evidence. Then it goes on to say about who the forensics are, and they're quite well known in that area. They helped to bring the killers of Stephen Lawrence to justice and what have you. Um, so yeah, so they were able to re-examine the evidence and recovered a 1,000,000,000 to 1 DNA match linking Bishop to the discarded sweatshirt. A, a taping from Karen's left forearm also found contained Bishop's DNA. So where they put the tape on and they've taken it off, obviously his DNA was on there as well. So on the 10th of May 2016, a suspect was arrested for the murders. In December 2017, the Court of Appeal ordered pushing the 1987 acquittals that Bishop would be tried for the murders at the Old Bailey. In May 2016, Bishop was removed from his cell at Franklin Prison in County Durham and taken to the local police station, where he was arrested for the murders of Karen and Nicola. The trial was scheduled for the 15th of October 2018. Prosecutor Alan Altman, QC, told the jury the case against Bishop was not just based on his attempt to kill another child in a similar manner, but on other compelling evidence. He explains a significant part of the inquiry has been reevaluated. I can't say it. I can't say. Various areas of the scientific work that were performed for the purpose of the 1987 trial, but through the lens of modern day technology, DNA profiling, which, although available in 1986 and 1987, was then in its infancy. So in other words, we've got DNA. Bishop suggested that Nicola's father, Barry, was to blame, telling the jury the police spent 32 years building a case against the wrong man. Bishop was not in court every day for his 9-week trial and complained to the judge that he was feeling suicidal over his temporary stay at Belmarsh, requesting his return to Franklin. At the 2018 trial, the prosecution put forward different timelines. Atman presented evidence that the girls were alive at 6:30 and that Bishop returned to R Park. Defense witnesses at the 1987 trial returned as prosecution witnesses in 2018. At this trial, Atman argued the forensic samples taken as tape-ins in 1986 were so carefully handled by the police and preserved by scientists that he could present them as a time capsule to prove Bishop's guilt. So on the 10th of December, after a 9-week trial at the Central Criminal Court, or Old Bailey, the jury of 7 men, 5 women returned a guilty verdict after 2.5 hours of deliberation. It didn't take them long, did it? So he was convicted of that. So then we go on to there was further action on there, and in May 2021, so only just, Jennifer Johnson, Bishop's girlfriend at the time of the murders, was found guilty of perjury, having admitted that she had lied about the sweatshirt in the original trial. So she was trying to, to get out of it. So the former girlfriend of the Babes in the Wood killer, Russell Bishop, was found guilty of perjury in preventing the course of justice in relation to his 1987 trial. Jennifer Johnson was accused of having lied prolifically and significantly undermined the trial. The 55-year-old's trial at Lewis Crown Court was heard over recent weeks, and she has told lies that were important, including about the critical piece of evidence, a sweatshirt found near the scene. Johnson insisted that she acted under duress and had no choice but to lie during the trial more than 3 decades ago. But she was today convicted on one count of perjury and one count of providing, perverting the course of justice. After jurors took more than 12 hours to reach a majority verdict of guilty on both charges. Johnson closed her eyes as the verdicts were delivered, while the victim's family wiped away tears of relief. 9-year-olds Karen Hathaway and Nicola Fellows were found sexually assaulted and strangled in the Woodlands Den in Brighton in 1986. So that's really that's basically it. I believe he had 2 extra years of two further life sentences. And basically, I don't. He's never going to get out alive, is he? He's he's in there for life now. And it doesn't tell us what happened with the Jennifer Johnson, what her fate was, what she got sentenced to. But if I do find out anything, I will tag it on or put it in the description of the video. So yeah, so that's really sort of briefly over that. I probably will go into it a bit more at one point or another, but that's the bones of it, if you like. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. Been a bit rough because I've not, I think it's a bit roughly done, but I'm sure I'll get better over time. So yeah, thanks for watching and listening, or whatever you were doing. I bored the kitty to sleep, and it's going so quick. So yeah, I mean, the only reason I did this was because something came up on my phone about the news, and I thought, oh, what's this? And it took me right back to that time. Like I say, I was about 15 when this happened, and I lived just up the road from Brighton. So yeah, it was quite. It brought back a lot of memories of that time. So yeah, I mean, these girls were only 6 years younger than me. So they've been in their 40s now, and they've probably had families, and yeah. So there is a video of the one mum giving a statement after it. I couldn't actually find it to show you it, but you know, do look into this if you can. It is a really compelling story. It's it took 30 odd years, but they got them in the end, which is the main thing. There's no hiding from these crimes, especially now with the DNA that we all have and what have you. So yeah, thanks again for watching. If you enjoy it, let me know in the comments. Like I say again, I'm pretty new to doing this sort of thing, so please give me a thumbs up and give me some feedback in the comments, which would be great. So yeah, so thanks for watching. And let's just say a little prayer for the girls that they're finally resting in peace, and their parents can do so also. Okay, remember, you always get found out. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you later. Bye bye now.